I never thought my life would change because of a dropped coffee cup. But sometimes the smallest moments create the biggest miracles.
I never thought my life would change because of a dropped coffee cup. But sometimes the smallest moments create the biggest miracles. My name is Sarah, and 3 years ago, I was living on the streets of downtown Chicago. I know what you're thinking. How does someone like me end up homeless? Well, life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. I was 22 when my mom died from cancer. The medical bills ate up everything we had. I lost our apartment, dropped out of college, and found myself with nowhere to go. I tried shelters, but they were always full. I tried staying with friends, but you can only crash on someone's couch for so long before you wear out your welcome. So there I was, sleeping in doorways, washing up in gas station bathrooms, and trying to stay invisible. I had this old backpack with everything I owned, a few clothes, my mom's wedding ring, and a worn-out copy of Jane Eyre she gave me. Every morning, I'd sit outside this fancy coffee shop called Brew & Co. on Michigan Avenue. Not to beg, I was too proud for that. I'd just sit there reading my book, watching all these successful people rush by in their expensive suits, heading to jobs I could only dream of. The smell of fresh coffee and pastries would make my stomach growl, but a single cup cost more than I had. I'd make $1 last 3 days if I was lucky. Then came that Tuesday morning in November. It was freezing cold, and I was shivering on the sidewalk, trying to read with numb fingers. This guy in a perfectly tailored navy suit walked out of the coffee shop, talking loudly on his phone about some business deal. He wasn't watching where he was going. He bumped right into me. His coffee went flying, splashing all over my book and my jacket, the only warm thing I had. I watched in horror as the brown liquid soaked through the pages of Jane Eyre, my mom's last gift to me. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," he said, getting off his phone immediately. I wasn't looking where I was going. Most people would have just kept walking. But he didn't. He knelt down right there on the dirty sidewalk in his expensive suit and started helping me gather my wet things. "Your book," he said, looking genuinely upset. I ruined it. I wanted to be angry, but when I looked up at him, I couldn't find the words. He had these incredible green eyes, and there was something so sincere about the way he was looking at me. Not with pity, not with disgust, just with genuine concern. "It's okay," I managed to say. "It's just a book." "No," he said firmly. "It's not just a book. I can see how much it means to you." He stood up and extended his hand to help me up. "I'm Marcus," he said. "Marcus Thompson." "Sarah," I whispered, taking his hand. "Sarah, please let me buy you breakfast. And a new copy of your book. It's the least I can do." I should have said no. I should have walked away. But I was so cold, so hungry, and he seemed so genuine. "Okay," I said quietly. We walked into Brew & Co. together, and I felt every eye in the place on us. Me in my dirty clothes and worn-out sneakers, him looking like he stepped out of a magazine. But Marcus didn't seem to care about the stares. He ordered me the biggest breakfast on the menu, eggs Benedict, fresh fruit, orange juice, and the most amazing coffee I'd ever tasted. While I ate, he told me about himself. Turns out, Marcus wasn't just wealthy, he was a millionaire several times over. He'd built a tech company from nothing and sold it for hundreds of millions when he was just 28. Now he was 30 and ran investment firms. "What about you?" he asked gently. "What's your story, Sarah?" I don't know why, but something about him made me want to tell the truth. Maybe it was the way he listened without judgment, or how he'd ordered food without making it feel like charity. So I told him everything, about my mom, the medical bills, losing everything. When I finished, his eyes were actually watery. "I'm so sorry," he said. "No one should have to go through that alone." Before we left, he pressed something into my hand. It was his business card with his personal number written on the back. "I want you to call me," he said. "Not for money or anything like that. Just, call me. Okay?" I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. That night, huddled in a doorway, I stared at that business card for hours. Part of me thought it was some kind of joke. Why would someone like Marcus Thompson want to hear from someone like me? But 3 days later, when it started snowing and I couldn't feel my fingers anymore, I found a payphone and dialed his number. He picked up on the second ring. "Sarah?" His voice sounded so relieved. "I was hoping you'd call." "I'm sorry for bothering you," I started. "You're not bothering me," he said quickly. "Where are you? Are you somewhere warm?" I told him I was in a 24-hour laundromat, and within 30 minutes, he was there. He found me curled up between the washing machines, trying to stay warm. "Come on," he said softly. "You're coming home with me." I started to protest, but he held up his hand. "Not forever," he said. "Just for tonight. It's supposed to drop to 10 degrees. I can't sleep knowing you're out here in this weather." His apartment was like something out of a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, marble countertops, art that probably cost more than most people make in a year. But what struck me most was how lonely it felt. "You live here alone?" I asked. He nodded. "Work keeps me pretty busy. I don't have much time for relationships." He showed me to the guest room, which was bigger than any place I'd ever lived. "There are clothes in the closet that should fit you," he said. "My ex-girlfriend left them here. Please, make yourself comfortable." That night, I took the longest, hottest shower of my life. I put on clean clothes for the first time in months. And for the first time in even longer, I slept in a real bed. I planned to leave early in the morning before Marcus woke up. But when I tiptoed to the kitchen at 6 a.m., he was already there making coffee. "Going somewhere?" he asked with a small smile. "I should go," I said. "You've done enough." "Sarah," he said, turning to face me. "Can I be honest with you?" I nodded. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since Tuesday. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because..." He paused, running his hand through his hair. "There's something about you. The way you carry yourself with dignity even when life has knocked you down. The way you were reading that book like it was the most precious thing in the world. I've met a lot of people in my life, but I've never met anyone like you." My heart was beating so fast I thought it might explode. "I want to help you," he continued. "Not because I pity you, but because I care about you. Would you let me do that?" Over the next few weeks, Marcus became my lifeline. He helped me get into a transitional housing program. He bought me proper clothes for job interviews. He even hired a tutor to help me study for my GED since I dropped out of high school. But more than that, we became friends. Real friends. He'd pick me up after my job training programs, and we'd go for walks along the lakefront. He'd tell me about the pressure of running his companies, and I'd tell him about my dreams of maybe going back to school someday. "You know," he said one evening as we watched the sunset over the water, "I've never had anyone in my life who listens like you do. Everyone usually wants something from me." "What do I want from you?" I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. "Nothing," he said quietly. "That's what makes you so special." 3 months later, I got my first real job in over a year, working as a receptionist at a medical clinic. It wasn't much, but it was honest work with benefits. I was finally able to move into my own small studio apartment. The night I got my first paycheck, I called Marcus. "Congratulations," he said, and I could hear the genuine pride in his voice. "I'm so proud of you." "I want to take you to dinner," I said. "To thank you for everything." He was quiet for a moment. "Sarah, you don't owe me anything." I know, I said. I want to. Please. We met at a little Italian place in my neighborhood, nothing fancy, just good food and checkered tablecloths. It was so different from the expensive restaurants he was used to, but he seemed more relaxed than I'd ever seen him. Can I tell you something? He said over our spaghetti and meatballs. I nodded. These past few months, helping you, getting to know you, it's been the best time of my life. I'd forgotten what it felt like to do something that actually mattered. Marcus, I said softly. I know this might sound crazy, he continued, but I think I'm falling in love with you. My fork clattered onto my plate. What? I know we come from completely different worlds, he said quickly. I know people will think I'm crazy. But Sarah, you've changed my life just as much as I've changed yours. I stared at him, my heart pounding. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything. He reached across the table and took my hand. I love how you find joy in small things. I love how you're kind to everyone, even after everything you've been through. I love how you make me want to be a better person. Tears were streaming down my face. Marcus, I love you too. But this is insane. You're a millionaire. I work at a clinic and live in a studio apartment. So what? He said. None of that matters to me. But it mattered to everyone else. When word got out that Marcus Thompson was dating a formerly homeless woman, the media went crazy. Gossip blogs called me a gold digger. His business associates whispered that I was using him. Even some of my new friends at work wondered what my angle was. The attention was overwhelming. Photographers would follow us to dinner. Reporters would call my workplace asking for interviews. Someone even dug up my mom's medical records and published them online. Maybe we should take a break, I told Marcus one night after a particularly brutal day of tabloid headlines. This is hurting your reputation. I don't care about my reputation, he said firmly. I care about you. But I could see the stress wearing on him. His business partners were concerned. His family, who I still hadn't met, were apparently mortified. Things came to a head 6 months later at a charity gala Marcus had to attend for work. He'd asked me to go with him, and I'd spent my entire savings on a dress from a consignment shop. I felt so out of place among all those wealthy socialites in their designer gowns and jewelry worth more than my annual salary. But Marcus never left my side, introducing me proudly to everyone we met. Then I overheard a conversation in the bathroom. I can't believe Marcus is still with that homeless girl, one woman said to another. Everyone's talking about it. The poor man is obviously having some kind of breakdown. I heard she's already moving money around in his accounts, the other replied. These people are always looking for their next meal ticket. I stood frozen in that bathroom stall, tears streaming down my face. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was ruining his life. When I came out, Marcus took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. What happened? He asked, pulling me aside. I told him what I'd heard, and his face went dark with anger. Sarah, he said, taking my hands, listen to me. Those women don't know anything about us. They don't know your heart. They don't know how you've changed my entire world. But what if they're right? I whispered. What if I am ruining your life? You want to know what was ruining my life? He said. Being alone in that big apartment every night. Having everything money could buy but no one who actually cared about me as a person. Working 18-hour days because I had nothing else to live for. He cupped my face in his hands. You saved me, Sarah. Just as much as you think I saved you. That night, Marcus took me home and sat me down on his couch, our couch, he'd started calling it, since I'd been spending most of my time there. I have something to ask you, he said, getting down on one knee. My heart stopped. Sarah, he said, pulling out a simple, beautiful ring, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I don't care about the gossip or the judgment or the tabloids. I care about you. I care about the life we're building together. Will you marry me? I couldn't speak through my tears, so I just nodded. But planning a wedding when you're in the public eye is complicated. Every detail ended up in the gossip magazines. People had opinions about everything: the venue, too fancy; my dress, not fancy enough; the guest list, why wasn't his family there? The truth was, Marcus's family had basically disowned him over our relationship. His father had threatened to cut him out of the family business if he married me. His mother had begged him to come to his senses. Do you ever regret it? I asked him one night as we looked at yet another nasty headline about our upcoming wedding. Never, he said without hesitation. Sarah, my family taught me that money and status were the most important things in life. You taught me that love and kindness matter more than anything else. We had a small ceremony at a little church in my old neighborhood. Instead of an expensive reception, we hosted a dinner at the community center where I'd volunteered during my job training. We invited the people who'd actually supported us, my co-workers, the staff from the housing program, Marcus's few friends who'd stood by him. It wasn't glamorous, but it was perfect. 2 years later, we're still together, still happy, still proving the doubters wrong. Marcus stepped away from his family business and started a nonprofit focused on helping homeless youth find housing and job training. I finished my GED and started taking night classes at the community college. We bought a smaller house in a normal neighborhood. Marcus says it's the first place that's ever felt like home to him. Last month, a reporter asked me if I ever felt guilty about trapping Marcus. I told her the truth, that love isn't about what you have or where you come from. It's about finding someone who sees the best in you and makes you want to be better. Marcus didn't save me from being homeless. I mean, he helped, but I saved myself with hard work and determination. What Marcus did was something much more precious. He saw me as a whole person when everyone else just saw my circumstances. And I did the same for him. I saw a lonely man who had everything except what mattered most. I saw someone who was generous and kind underneath all that wealth and success. People still call me a gold digger sometimes. They still whisper that it won't last. But every morning when I wake up next to the man I love, in our little house with our rescue dog sleeping at the foot of our bed, I know we proved them all wrong. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about fairy tale endings. They're about two broken people finding each other and choosing to build something beautiful together, no matter what the world thinks. That dropped coffee cup changed both our lives forever. And I'd spill 1,000 more if it meant finding my way to Marcus again.